And that great Glenn Miller song indicates that it's time for us to get going here on this Wednesday afternoon for Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the host of the show. Here's Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, thank you, John Harper. This is always the best time of the week. We get to gather around the radio lunchtime, 12 noon to 1 p.m. right here on 90.3 FM WEJF. And welcome if you're listening to us online at wejf.net. And also for the growing number of you that are catching this as a podcast, because more or less as soon as the broadcast is done, we make sure this is available wherever fine podcasts are found. Everything from Apple iTunes to Spotify, iHeartRadio. Hey, Alexa, play me Helping Seniors. You're going to find us there. And the neat part of it, what we've discovered along the way, is a lot of times people like that because maybe they catch the show live. And then they say, well, this would really be good. You know, my neighbor Fred needs to hear what they're talking about today. So then they can just send them a link to the podcast. By the way, we also put these out as YouTube podcasts. So if you look for us on Helping Seniors of Brevard, YouTube, you'll find us there. And if you look for us on Facebook, you'll also find us there because we put it there. And, of course, everything we do, we have a big library of Helping Seniors information that's available on our website. Let me give you that website address, helpingseniors.brevard.org, helpingseniors.brevard.org. And everything that we publish in the Senior Center section of Senior Scene Magazine, everything that we put into the radio or put TV shows, which broadcast 4 times a day on Space Coast Government TV, all of that is found in the helpingseniors.brevard.org website. And our president and founder, Joe Steckler, he's the guy that built up the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, created those Joe's Clubs here locally. He's always been very much on the stance that we got to get families and seniors educated so that they can make an aging plan. And usually we're talking about some fairly serious topics that you want to be sure you're aware of. You know, we say aging plan in the same spirit we say hurricane plan. You don't want a storm. You just want to know how you're going to react with it. And so planning ahead makes all the difference. So a lot of the topics we talk about can tend to be more serious. But today we have nothing but fun to talk about because we have Chris Morse, who is the director of the Helping Seniors Travel Club and a travel agent. And I love to introduce you this way because it was your words, not mine, who's been in the travel business since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise. It's a great fundraiser for the Helping Seniors organization, and it's there's ways you can get involved in that. We're going to talk all about that today, give you some insight about how you can cruise enjoyably, safely, securely, and just have a great time when you're coming with friends locally. But we're even blessed to have in the WEJF studios with us today another good friend of the Helping Seniors organization. His name is Tom Muldoon. He works directly with MSC Cruises, and as you know, we have partnered with MSC Cruises to do our Helping Seniors Foundation Cruises, and you are right here local with us. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Kerry. Thanks for having me on today.
So let's talk about, you know, it's interesting. We were just talking about this before we got on the air. Chris, you came into visit with us, Joe Steckler and myself. This was all pre-COVID, and you said, Kerry, you know, we've just landed here. My business has been built. We're nationwide, but we're headquartered in California. But now we're settling into the Merritt Island area, and we were just thinking, you know, what a great organization this is, and we'd like to help you guys with a program that could probably help you raise money. That's, my goodness, that must be like 5+ years ago or something now, Chris.
I think it was in 2018, I think we first said hello, and we've started the Helping Seniors of Brevard Foundation Cruises. And for the first couple of years, it was really fantastic. And then COVID came along, and it set us back a couple of years. And we actually booked one cruise, I think, 3 times, didn't we?
Yeah, I was kind of scared because if you remember back in those days, they said, oh, we can go sailing later this summer. And then I was like, well, maybe in the springtime. And I do remember that put a lot of extra work on you and Betty because you had to keep everybody was signing up. And they're like, well, we can't do it now. It's going to have to go back here. So thank God all those days are in the review.
Yeah, and we had a fantastic 2023 cruise where we had over 100 people come on that cruise.
Uh-huh.
And that was wonderful. That was January, February of 2023. And then we had a summer cruise, and then we had another fall cruise and another summer cruise. And now we're presenting our 5th annual Foundation Cruise in January of this coming year. And we have 3 different cruises to present. We have a 3-day, a 7-day, and a 10-day cruise. And all the cruises, as you know, because we put together a fantastic program with MSC, and I know Tom will talk about it, but we include everything that you could possibly imagine. We include the cabin, the port charges, the taxes, the gratuities, all the meals, the beverage package, the Wi-Fi package, all the special events, the private cocktail party, all the workout facilities, the world-class spa. We can even have fun dancing at night, and it also includes travel insurance. And we get that special price from MSC. So a big thanks to MSC to support the 5th annual Foundation Cruise.
Yeah, I want to back up just a notch and kind of explain a little bit why this is such a fun idea before we actually get into the specifics, because, Chris, at the time, our president founder talked about a concept he called stay connected. As we get older, maybe we feel like we don't want to get out as much, and it maybe sometimes it just takes a little bit more effort to get out. And so we end up staying at home. We maybe are watching our TV or goofing around on the internet or something, but we don't really get out and become as social. And if anything, COVID times made that even worse, if not impossible. And so Joe was really concerned about the need for all of us, but especially seniors, to stay connected with one another. In fact, it was interesting. We have done surveys, Chris, where we've asked about the top needs for seniors here in Brevard County, because obviously that's what we're always trying to address. And if you remember, obviously things like medical and transportation and legal, all those things are high up on the list. But surprisingly, because it made the top 10, I think it was number 7 or number 8, was seniors self-reported that staying socially connected was important. And that was really, I think, the brilliance of what you put together with the Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise, because it's a way for people locally to get together with people locally.
Yeah, we found out that during our dinner time, all the seniors would be sitting together and having a great time eating dinner. And they'd look across the table and they would be talking to a lady who lives 2 blocks down the street that she never knew that she was there. And they're having lunch together the following week. It's like, Kerry, if you and I were on a cruise and you lived in New York and I lived in L.A., we'd become friends and we'd probably email each other, but we'd probably never see each other again. But with these Foundation Cruises, we're actually having people that live in the neighborhoods of Melbourne and Vieira and Port Canaveral and Cocoa Beach and Cocoa, and we all live together. So when we go on this cruise together, we're meeting people that actually could live on your same block or down the street that you can make friends with, actually have lunch or get together. Girlfriends become girlfriends. Guys meet other veterans that they didn't know lived down the block. So it's a wonderful way to get to know people in our local area.
No, it's actually the best. And one thing I want to mention too is that even though it's a Helping Seniors Cruise, does not mean necessarily everybody on the cruise in our group is advanced in years. In fact, we find like people will bring their kids, their grandkids. It really becomes multi-generational. And as you know, Chris, yourself from all your experience, when you get a group of people, a family, that's why a lot of families like the family reunion idea on a cruise, because everybody can, if everybody's up under everybody the whole day, we all get annoyed with each other. But the cool thing is there's so many activities on board, right? Everybody can spread out and do the thing that's important for them and get back together at meal times and certain gathering times. It's really a wonderful way to do a family vacation.
Yes, and we found out that the kids actually go to the kids program, say 9 o'clock in the morning, and they have all day with the kids in their same age bracket. And then they would meet back with the family at dinner and share dinner together, which is kind of fun. And then there'd be another kids program after dinner, or they could actually go to the shows, which are absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
They can go to the shows with their family and then go to the cabin and have a good time and go to sleep and come up in the morning. So the family can actually schedule around the times of the kids program to make the family really enjoy the cruise by themselves with the kids and just have a great time.
Yeah, we had such a great time because our son and daughter sailed with us, I think, on one of the last Helping Seniors Foundation cruises, and they brought along their year-and-a-half-old our grandson, their baby, and it was so cool because we got out to Ocean Cay and just had the best time in that lagoon there. And that's how memories are made, and what a wonderful time. This is the kind of thing that happens, though, Chris, when you get involved in a group and you meet new people and you get new friends and you have all these great travel experiences. We're going to talk for a while about the amenities that MSC offers because they are fantastic. But I wanted to also, before we got there, Chris, talk for just a minute about the fact that another thing that's so important about this, again, so it's multi-generational. Number two is that you've been very careful how you set this thing up. So when people say, oh, it's a fundraising cruise for helping seniors, you can imagine all these people sweating you every 5 minutes, like you need to make a donation to Helping Seniors of Brevard. And yet you've taken care, we don't ever do that on board at all because you already organized that together with the help of MSC.
Yes, MSC is so kind enough to actually donate back part of the profits that we make to Helping Seniors of Brevard Foundation. So we really don't add anything onto the cruise like most of the other fundraisers do. We actually, MSC actually donates back part of the profits, which is really nice. And it's all, everything that's included in the cruise is coming from our friendship from MSC Cruises.
Yeah, it makes it a really, really pleasant time. And I wanted to ask Tom, because he's kind of like, he is our in-house resident expert right now about all things MSC. But Chris, we both have had experience in the past working with MSC. And, a lot of people still are just getting used to that name. In fact, I've heard more than once, like, what's an MSC? And a lot of times we jokingly say, well, you've seen those yellow containers rolling down the road and it says MSC. They're like the world's either first, second, maybe third, I don't know, but they're one of the world's largest container shipping lines. And so that's why you see these trucks running up and down 95 with these MSC containers. But a lot of people are now getting familiar with the quality that they represent for cruising. Tom, talk about how you've seen this cruise line really start to become really aggressive and really gaining a strong foothold in the market.
Well, Kerry, it's been pretty amazing. We've really only been in existence since around 2003 through 2004 when we built our first ship, the MSC Lyrica. And, back then we were only sailing here in the U.S., part-time. We were here in November through usually April. So we were only here for a season, and the name really took a long time to catch on. But back in 2016, we started sailing year-round out of Miami with the MSC Divina. Since then, we've started sailing year-round out of Port Canaveral, out of New York, and next year will be Galveston. So the company is really committed to growing the business here in North America. As a matter of fact, we're currently building right now the largest cruise terminal in the world down in Miami to service our ships that sail out of Miami. So we MSC really wants to be a main player here in the U.S. cruise market, and we're making those things happen right now.
I think one of the things that's fascinating when you mentioned the MSC Divina, Chris, I think that was the first ship that we sailed on when because that was at that time it was sailing in and out of Port Canaveral. That's another point about the Helping Seniors cruise I want to bring up is, a lot of times when you book a cruise, and sometimes that's fun, but sometimes it can be a hassle. You say, oh, well, I got to get on an airplane and I got to fly to where the cruise starts from. Or, maybe I'm going to cruise out of South Florida or something like that. But then you got to figure out, do I take a bus? Do I have to take a train? How do I get down there? And I have all that extra with moving luggage around and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a lot of extra work. And Chris, one of the things that you said should be kind of bedrock to the Helping Seniors cruises we have, I think it's the world's largest cruise port right here in Port Canaveral now, or the world's busiest, or however they say all that. So isn't it cool that we can sail right in and out of our home port right here in Brevard County, which means you can have a friend drop you off, or it's just not a hassle to get to the cruise ship when you sail from home.
That is so correct, because MSC going out of Port Canaveral, there's a number of places where you can actually park your car and get shuttled right into the cruise port. The parking at the cruise port is very, very nice, or have your friends drop you off. So either way, Port Canaveral is a wonderful place for helping seniors of Brevard Foundation Cruise, because anybody from Melbourne or Vieira or Cocoa Beach can actually come, get dropped off or park, come right to the cruise ship, get right on board the ship, and probably by 2 o'clock, by 1 or 2 o'clock, they're having the buffet lunch, and then we sail off, and it's a wonderful time. And yes, currently, Port Canaveral just beat out Miami to be the largest cruise port in the world.
And it's incredible. And, you know, it's interesting because it's a very easy cruise port. You know, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you've sailed in and out of Fort Lauderdale and all these other ports, Miami. You have to get downtown and move through a lot of that to get out to the ship. With Port Canaveral, it's number one, it's home, but it's so easy to get to. And what I was starting to say is, like, our first cruise was on the Divina. I think then we did one on the Seaside. And this time, the last cruise was on the MSC Seashore, which was so lovely. And we got so many good comments about. You said, let's do this again on this ship.
Yeah, and don't forget the Meraviglia. We were on the Meraviglia
that's
once,
right.
too.
That's also a lovely ship. That's great if you ever want to go up to New York and take a cruise. Wow, that's still a great ship to be on. But we're so fortunate to have the Seashore here, and we got nothing but great comments on the last cruise. Beautiful, beautiful. There's something, Tom, I say Italians have such a flair for design. I mean, you know, we always think of Ferraris and all these, just how beautiful things are designed in Italy. And it seems like they carry over that excellence in just how eye-catchy and how gorgeous the ships are.
Yeah, MSC ships are just beautiful, and they are designed in Italy, and they are just amazing vessels. I would really put our crew, even though we're more of a contemporary cruise line, I would put our cruise ships really up against any of our competitors' cruise ships. I mean, they're just so beautiful and elegant, and all the different lounges and bars and restaurants. They're just incredible.
Yeah, and I always ask you about this because everybody loves to get into the atrium because the way they've designed these ships, they have these beautiful staircases. Everybody can't wait to get their photo made on those. How do you say it? Swarovski crystal staircases?
Yes, Swarovski crystal. Yes, we've been in association with Swarovski for a long time, and they design the staircases on some of our ships. And they're just amazing. $5,000 a step, great photo opportunities, and they just look amazing and beautiful on the ships.
You know, and another thing that MSC is fast becoming known for is the quality and caliber of the onboard shows. I mean, my goodness, you might as well be on Broadway with the caliber of the performers and some of the things that are happening on board with those.
Oh, the entertainment on board our ships is just amazing, and it's things that really anybody from any country can enjoy. They're very, very, very colorful costumes, a lot of acts from Cirque du Soleil and gymnastics and things like that. So they're just extremely entertaining in the main lounges, and then you've got all the other smaller entertainment around the ship. So there's never a lack of entertainment or things to do when you're on board an MSC ship, that's for sure.
No, and Chris, on top of it, when you come with us on the Helping Seniors Sailing, you also help us create some programs and things that are, we've had musical programs, we've had occupational therapy programs, we've had all kinds of interesting talks and music and just great gatherings on the ships exclusively for those who are coming with the Helping Seniors bunch.
Yes, depending on the number of clients that we get on board the ship, we've had a musical group come on board, we've had physical therapy folks come on board, we've had folks come in. Remember last year we had a lawyer come on board to help us with our senior plans for working with a lawyer, and so we've had a lot of different kinds of programs that we can have, and it's all based on all the folks that support Helping Seniors of Brevard. We have a wonderful support system of companies that share all their ideas and information with us, that you can find in the Senior Scene magazine and also at our center.
Yeah, I was smiling when you were talking about it. That was actually Ruth Rhodes, who is a board-certified elder law attorney, one of only two in Brevard County, and she literally, it was a weekend cruise, so they could do this, but they literally closed down the office a little bit early Friday, and she brought her whole staff. And I had a friend who back when I was in the radio business, and what he would love to do is he would love to buy his because he was big into broadcasting, and he would love to buy his attorney tickets to one of the baseball games there in D.C. because he would say I can sit with him for 2 hours, and he's not charging me $400 an hour. And so this was kind of the advantage that everybody on the cruise ship had, because they could sit and ask a bunch of questions to Ruth and her team and get some good ideas of what would be the right next step when you're thinking about that. And then, Chris, on our most recent one, it was Jeetal Patel who is the owner of Coastal Occupational Therapy, and she brought one of her teammates with her, and it was really great because she did several things. She had us all in the gym first thing in the morning. And she did classes and things, but I was smiling because I said, a lot of us could be intimidated going into the gym because you're standing there trying to exercise next to Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. And, it's like they're just at a whole different level of pumping iron. But the way Jeetal did it, she says, I want to help you guys move. If you have a problem in your back, I want to help you work up the muscles. And it was really educational in addition to being helpful.
Yeah, I'll share a story with you. I have 2 new knees, a new back, and a new hip. And as you can probably take it, it's hard to get around. But with Jeetal, she was able to help me work out some of the areas or do some of the exercises that I could do, not to hurt me, but to build up muscles in certain areas to make my life a little bit better. And that's what she did on board the cruise. So everybody that came on the cruise basically had a new knee or a new hip. And we were all able to do wonderful things together and learn how to exercise that would support us, actually not hurt us. So it was really wonderful that she did that for us.
No, it's wonderful. It's funny because I had traded an email with her and said that we were going to be on the radio talking about this on today, and they just had a great time meeting everybody, and so here again, because you're working and traveling with people who are local to your area. So people said, well, this is really helpful. I'm going to call Jeetal and her folks when they get off the cruise line and keep this going.
And the other important thing that Tom and I worked out when we went to one of the residential homes, the senior travel is special needs certified. So we know how to get folks that think they can never travel again or never go on a cruise line again. We can actually get them up, moving, and onto a cruise. And when we went to this residential home to make a presentation, after the presentation, 2 or 3 folks came up and said, Chris, I'm in a wheelchair. I don't think I can get around. I haven't traveled in a long time. What can you do for me? Those folks had such a wonderful time on board the ship. And we were able to get them wheelchairs or walkers, or the little walkers with the seats so they could sit down if they had to. We were able to get one person a breathing machine to come on board. And, of course, the refrigerators on board can actually do and hold diabetic equipment if you need that. So we're special needs certified, and we get folks that think they can't ever travel again on board the ship. And it's such a wonderful feeling for all of us, for Tom and I, and for Helping Seniors.
You said it right. Chris Morse with the Helping Seniors Travel Club. We're going to be back with the second half of Helping Seniors Radio. We're going to talk some more about the Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise. Stay with us. It's fun.
12:34 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard for this Wednesday afternoon. Let's get back to more of the show with your host and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, John Harper. It is so good to be on the radio each Wednesday lunchtime and share that hour with you from noon to 1 p.m. right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF Radio. And if you're listening to us online at WEJF.net, thank you for sticking with the broadcast. And if you're on the podcast, appreciate that too. If you missed any of the great conversation we're having, that's why we love doing these and making these available as podcasts, because then people can go right back and pick up the information that's important for them as as makes sense for them. So a lot of times somebody will be hearing us talk about, like our topic today is the Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise. And they're like, hey, I might want to go on that. And I want to share this with my neighbors. And I want to share this with my children who might fly in from, I don't know, New York or Illinois or something like that. Where we're going, we're going to go basically the last weekend in January and first week in February is when our dates are. So particularly folks from up north, I remember, Chris, when we lived in Manhattan all those years ago, we would just look for any opportunity to come to Florida in the winter and thaw out just a bit. So that's one of the great things about this. I think the 3-night cruise sails, is it January 30th, and the 7-night cruise sails February 2nd? Does that sound right?
That is correct. And we found some of the folks some of the seniors that are going with us, some of their families are flying in from Connecticut and from Michigan just to be on the cruise with their families. So it's a wonderful time to go cruising.
That's what we talked about. So we say, even though it's a Helping Seniors Foundation cruise, raises money for the work of Helping Seniors of Brevard, one of the things that is important to understand is it's not just necessarily a group of elders who are going and traveling. It ends up being very much multi-generational, because a lot of seniors say, hey, what a great opportunity. I can't take it with me when I go, so I'm going to bring my family with me when I can. And that happens an awful lot.
Yeah, sometimes we even get seniors saying, I don't want my kids to come, I want my grandkids to come.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
They have a lot of fun doing that, and they have a great kids program on board the MSC Cruises, so it's a really good time to bring your entire family.
Yeah, and so again, it's a 3-night cruise, it's a 7-night cruise, or it's a 10-night cruise when you put them both back to back, which a lot of seasoned cruisers love to do because the pricing is really good. We're going to get to all that. I wanted to stay on a moment for a topic that we were at just before the break, because we were talking about the fact that you and your partner Betty are special needs certified. And this is a point that I really want to bring out. When you come sailing on the Helping Seniors Foundation cruise, one of the neatest things in the world happens. We love to tell this story, Chris, that I think on the very first cruise we had a 92-year-old lady who was traveling by herself with the group, but she wasn't by herself because she was with the group.
Yeah, and she was so funny. And, everybody in the group sort of bonded with her at dinner and the showtime, so she was never, ever alone, Kerry, on board the cruise. So it was just a wonderful time for her. And don't forget the lady that was married 6 times.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
And she was bringing another gentleman on board to test him out. So that was that was a wonderful time, too.
That was such a fun, because we had this really great meet and greet kind of cocktail party thing, and she was explaining that. And then she'd had 7 husbands over, I want to say it was like 50 years. Anyway, everybody in the room was doing the math, and it sounded like she kept her husband like 6.3 years. So we're asking the gentleman that she had brought on the ship, like, your days are, you've got about this much time left on average.
Yeah, and she probably was better than the comedians on board the ship because she was so much fun.
Yeah.
And being special needs certified, and actually what Betty and I do, we actually go on the ship along with the group. So if anything should happen while you're on the ship or on the cruise, any one of the 3, 7, or 10-day cruises, Betty and I are there to take care of any problems that come up. All you have to do is call us. Within a half a day, or probably in half an hour, we would take care of the problems for you. So it's just a wonderful time to come on board. Don't worry about a thing. If your special needs requirements, we will take care of them for you. Actually, the wheelchair is delivered right to your room. So it's a wonderful time to go cruising, whether you have special needs or you want to bring your family or you want to bring your grandkids.
Wow. That's a point that I really wanted to bring out, because a lot of times, we've been conditioned, we see a great price on the internet, and so we start clicking through, and maybe we're even successful in booking a cruise on our own through the internet. The problem is if you get on board and somehow something doesn't line up with what you were thinking it was going to be, your option is either you have to catch that first day lineup at the front desk and trying to get all that sorted out, or worse, you're on an 800 line trying to sort something out with wherever you booked it. And one of the coolest things about the Helping Seniors Foundation cruise is you get the luxury of traveling with your very own personal travel agent on board. So everything that comes up, And the cool thing is, Chris, and because you and Betty have so much experience having done this for some, you know exactly who the right person to go to on the ship to get something worked out that's going to make that difference and make that cruise comfortable with whatever's going on.
Yeah, with our friend like Tom Muldoon, who's right next to me, who's going to talk about the private island and the beautiful ships. We also get to know everybody on board. There's the hotel manager that we can associate with. There's a concierge manager that we can talk to. The service manager is there. We get to know them all actually the first day of the cruise, because we have what we call a pre-con meeting where all of the people get together and we go over our group to make sure that everything is perfect. The dinner time is perfect. Show times are set up. So we make sure that we know everybody, so in case something happens, we know exactly who to call. We actually have their phone numbers on our speed dial on our phone. We can actually call them, make the service request, and they will do their utmost timing to actually get the problem solved if there's any problems on board the ship. So it's just a wonderful time to go on board with us.
Yeah, so many advantages. You got a great cruise line. You're sailing from the home port. You're going to sail with local people. You're going to have your travel agent on board. It's perfect for multi-generational sailings. It's a fundraiser for your hopefully favorite charity, the Helping Seniors of Brevard organization. But then we haven't even started to talk about the destinations, and whether you choose the 7-night cruise or the 3-night cruise, both of them hit MSC's private island, Ocean Cay Marine Reserve. Tom, talk a little bit about that. That is such a special place. It's unlike anything I think I've ever seen on cruise lines when it comes to private islands and things like that.
Yeah, so thanks, Kerry. Ocean Cay MSC Marine Reserve is just unbelievable. A lot of the major cruise lines out there do have their own private islands in the Bahamas. And we opened ours up back in 2019, and it's got a really great backstory. The island was kind of a dumping ground, and it had a silica processing facility that went out of business. Other people had dumped a lot of trash on the island, so you had this beautiful island in the Bahamas that just really had a lot of trash on it. And we came in and we cleaned it up. We actually cleaned up 7,500 tons of material off the island, out of the waters around the island, and cleaned it up. And we came back in and planted 75,000 different trees and shrubs and grasses, all indigenous to the Bahamas. And we did such a great job that the Bahamian government actually came in and they named the island a marine reserve. So you can't actually harvest anything in the 64 square miles around the island. And like I said, some of our competitors have private islands as well. They have, water parks and slides and things like that on them. Ours is just a beautiful Bahamian island with 8 different beaches, beautiful palm trees, a lot of shade, and beautiful water to run and have a lot of fun in.
It really is a spectacular place, because if you've been to some of the others, anytime you're on an island, it's always nice. But the reality is you almost feel like you're at a water theme park over in Orlando or something, as opposed to being really out and enjoying all of the beauty that you get when you're out at a Bahamian island. And it's so pristine and it's so well done. And everything is so low key. A lot of times when you're out at an island place or something like that, you're getting hounded by vendors. You're just trying to relax on the beach and things like that. And the thing that I love about how it's set up is that it is really like you call it a marine reserve, but it's really like a little sanctuary,
It really is. I mean, it's a gem just right there in the Bahamas. The water's just crystal clear blue. And we only bring one ship in at a time. So the island, it's a big island. It's never crowded when you have a ship there. Even if you have 4,000 to 5,000 people on the island is big enough to sustain that. There's private areas you can go to, so it never feels like you're there with 5,000 other people.
Yeah.
Talk about the lighthouse, Tom.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, the lighthouse is amazing. So we built this beautiful lighthouse and a lighthouse bar on one end of the island. And not only can you take a nice tour and walk up the lighthouse, and you can see just for miles from the top of the lighthouse, but when we stay into the evening, we do a big, beautiful laser light show on the lighthouse. And we turn the beach into a big beach party. We light bonfires. We have a DJ out there. So not only can you have a lot of great fun in the sun, throughout the day, but in the evening we have a great time on the island as well.
It really is. It's amazing, because like what you were talking about is the choice of experiences on the island is dramatic. I mean, there is you can go to the I think it's the north side of the island called Bimini Beach, and it's just, you're just there out amongst the you're just looking way out to sea, and then you've got a great beach that's actually very, very close to the ship that a lot of people love, and they do a big bonfire thing when you stay there in the evening, and they just have a big party out there. And then there's places like the lagoon, which is it's great for swimming because you're not getting thrashed about by the waves. And then there's a corner of the island that even has sort of like a rocky beach. So you have all these different, like I would call them microcosms of different kind of beach experiences, and you can experience them all just on the one island.
Yeah, whether you're somebody who's very active that wants to get out and snorkel and ride jet skis and do things like that, or whether you just want to, grab a chair and lay under a palm tree and enjoy the shade and have a drink, you can do any of those things. The island has a lot of different activities for everybody to do, and I think anybody can have a great time on our island.
Absolutely, and there's great food. I mean, they got food trucks you can just walk up to and grab something when you're hungry, and they got places to get something to drink all over the island. Chris, I think in both itineraries, in both cases, you get to spend at least a day, and I think on the 7 night, you get to spend like almost 2 days there. Is that right?
Yeah, the ship actually, what we do is we come in the afternoon, so we get there around noon, and so you have the whole afternoon, you have the whole evening when we do the big beach party. Yeah. When the skies are clear, we actually bring out telescopes onto the island at night as well, so you can do some great stargazing. And then the ship actually stays until noon the following day. You've got to be back on board by about 11 o'clock in the morning, but you've got the full morning to enjoy the island as well.
Yeah, so on the 3-night sailing, you're going to have a wonderful Bahamian kind of vacation. But if you're on with us for the 7, you get the Bahamian and you get to go to those popular ports of Costa Maya and Cozumel, Mexico.
Yeah, the itinerary going to Mexico is awesome. I mean, there is so much to see in Mexico. I've been to both Cozumel and Costa Maya probably 8 to 10 times a piece. And I always find something new to do.
Yes.
You've got some beautiful Mayan ruins there. You can head out to Tulum and see those beautiful Mayan ruins right on the beach. Chichen Itza farther inland. If you would like to do great shopping, there's great leather and other things you can buy in Mexico. So yeah, it's a well-rounded vacation where you can do pretty much anything you want.
Yeah, and there's so much good to do on the ship as well while all this is going on. We noticed. Chris, last time it was just fun when everybody would get back on the ship to find out what everybody was doing with their day when they got to either go to Ocean Cay or one of those fine ports.
It's kind of funny. At dinner time, we always shared our stories about where we went or what we bought. Some of the ladies even brought down little bags and showed everybody what they bought for their kids or for their grandkids. So it was an awful lot of fun, especially on the 3 and 7 night cruises, because they get to do Ocean Cay and actually go to the Cozumel and to Costa Maya. So it was a lot of fun, and boy, do people love to shop.
Oh, yeah, and let's not even forget about all the great shopping that's on board the ship. I mean, they have set up with shopping all over the ship, and there's some great sales on board. So it's just an experience. And, if you haven't tried MSC before, you will absolutely enjoy it. They've got, this is, I sound like a reviewer, but this was really my experience, Chris. The last time it was so easy to get on the ship. It was so easy to get on the ship.
Yeah, what they do is they schedule different times, and on your boarding pass it'll say be boarding at 11:30, and then yours might say 12 o'clock, and mine will say 12:30. Some others at 1 o'clock. So they board very, very fast, which is kind of neat. The wait time is probably 15 to 20 minutes at the most. They also have special needs certified folks where you can get a wheelchair or get into the elevator, go upstairs, go through security and get a wheelchair, and then they will wheelchair you right to your cabin, as a matter of fact, which is kind of neat. So all in all, getting on board the MSC Cruises is just a fairly easy thing to do.
Yeah, no, and let's spend a minute and talk about the pricing, because this is true life story. I was really surprised about. I guess we were about 3/4 of the way through the last Helping Seniors. This is, again, we're talking about the 5th annual Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise coming up here, end of January 2025, beginning of February 2025. But on the last cruise, Chris, we're sitting there at dinner, and a couple of ladies that were traveling with the group came up and said, I am so glad we're here. We almost didn't come. And I said, well, I'm glad you're here too, but why? She goes, I really thought this was a scam. I said, really? She said, yeah, I looked at the price and said, there's no way all this could be included at that level of pricing. And she said, I'm so happy. It's for real. And Chris, that floored me because I've never heard somebody say like, wow, this was a real bargain, to the point that I was actually scratching my head going, is this for real?
Yes, and what we try to do is include everything, so once you get on board the ship, you don't have to pay for anything extra. The MSC doesn't have their hand out every time you turn a corner. So again, our cruises include the cabin, all the port charges, all the taxes, all the gratuities, all the food, a wonderful beverage package, wonderful Wi-Fi, really good Wi-Fi on board the ship, and also travel insurance. So everything is included. There's nothing else you have to pay. And just, can you believe it, for $1,443 per person, or just around $2,800 for a balcony cabin for 2 people, that include all of those amenities, it's just a fantastic price. Because if you go to a competitor, and I love my competitors also, they're almost double the price. So MSC is giving us a wonderful price. They're giving us money for the foundation. It's just a wonderful time to go cruising, and with MSC, everything is included.
You know, not only that, I keep thinking like you couldn't even get a waterfront hotel, like beachside or something, for that amount per night, let alone have all your food and entertainment and everything included. I see why those ladies were like, wow, this is really a great bargain. But you have to call to get involved. Call today, Chris or Betty, and see if this is going to fit your schedule, and we would love to welcome you on board this. Again, it's a real help to us as a charity. But how do people get in touch with you, Chris?
They can get in touch with us at 818-430-1480. And Tom, MSC, right next to me, has said, you know what, we really want to share the foundation, the upcoming raffle foundation for our Helping Seniors of Brevard once a year car raffle. So for anybody that books within the next 2 weeks that listen to the show or get an email from us, we will include a $25 raffle ticket for the event coming up in September.
Wow, that's amazing. So what's the best number again to reach?
That would be 818-430-1480.
Yeah, we got to twist Tom's arm and say, you got to come with us this time. Then you'll see how much fun we actually have. I know you already know how great the ships are and the service and all the great amenities on board, but it really is a whole nother level when Chris and Betty get involved, and what a fun experience, Tom.
Well, definitely. I'll accept your invitation. I'll get on board one of our ships any chance I get.
It's definitely something you don't want to miss. So listen, the Helping Seniors 5th annual Foundation Cruise sets sail January 30th from right here in Port Canaveral. You don't want to miss that ship. If you want to go for the 7-night cruise, so you can either take a nice weekend getaway, or you can come with us for a full week and have a great time. And that sails on February the 3rd. Or you can come with us for all, which a lot of folks do. Real quick, though, I want to talk because, Chris, there's another aspect. We find a lot of the people that call you are used to really the high end of cruising. And there's a whole thing that goes on called the Yacht Club, which is a ship within a ship. So somebody says, well, normally I sail such and such high-end thing. There's a way for them to experience that level of service and still be part of everything that we're doing on Helping Seniors.
Yeah, the Yacht Club is, again, a luxury product on board the regular cruise ship. And I've been on 143 cruises now, and I think it is the best luxury cruise on board a cruise ship. And Tom, take over and tell us a little bit about the Yacht Club.
Well, the Yacht Club is something we came out with all the way back in 2008, and we call it really a ship within a ship concept. You basically have a block of suites located on the front of the ship on the higher decks, located right on board the regular ship. So you basically have to have key card access to get into the Yacht Club area itself. You have the butler service. You have the concierge service. Those guests in the Yacht Club have their own restaurant. They've got their own lounge. They've got their own area on top of the pool, to catch some sun and to use the pool up in that area. So they really get a lot of benefits of going in the Yacht Club. It's a beautiful luxury product. You get the premium drink package. So if you really like to be waited on hand and foot, the Yacht Club is definitely for you. And the great thing about it is when you look at the value of the Yacht Club, when you compare the Yacht Club with some of our competitors, you're going to find the price, 50, 75% less. So it's a great product at a great price.
I love the fact that you get your own butler. How cool is that? Just all of it. It's really first class all the way. But however you choose to travel, take a real serious look at this. This helps us as a charity because we need the help. As I always tell people, we can only go as far and do as much service in our community as people will allow us to do, and that means we need your financial help. Joe Steckler, our president and founder, has always looked for fun ways for people to be able to support the work of the charity that they want to help, but do it in a way that is a fun way. And this cruise is absolutely a way to do that, Chris.
Yeah, and over the last 4 cruises, MSC has helped us raise over $10,000 to support Helping Seniors of Brevard Foundation. And the foundation is a little bit different than the regular fundraisers that we do. That money goes to folks that need emergency situations, not medical, but folks that need something to happen right away, and we have a little bit of money to be able to go out and put in maybe ramps or put in grab bars or something like that the seniors really need right away. So that's what the foundation is for. And thanks so much to MSC for helping us on 4 of the cruises, and now we're going on the 5th annual foundation cruise, the 30th of January for the 3-day, the 2nd of February for the 7-day, and for those that just love to cruise like Betty and I, we're going to take the 10-day starts on January 30th and going to the 9th of February. And just for a quick reminder, the 3-day is basically for our Helping Seniors support folks that have businesses that can't take the 7-day, but they can sure come on the 3-day and enjoy, do a little bit of networking, and support Helping Seniors of Brevard.
So well said. One more time, the best number to reach you, Chris.
That would be 818-430-1480.
Yeah, and real quick, another date I want to give you so that you can get this on your calendar is Sunday, October 27th, because you know where you want to be. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., you want to be at the American Muscle Car Museum. That is the location for the 8th annual Helping Seniors car raffle. This is our big fundraiser. This generates about half of the funding that we need each year to do the work that we do as Helping Seniors. And Mark Pylock, the owner of that astounding 500-plus car collection, he opens his museum. He lets us have our drawing. He's done that for us every year. It's a huge, huge party. I think last year there was like 6,000 people out there. This year it's going to be inside and outside, daylight on both ends to make it easy for people to access the museum, and also kid-friendly. So when you get your Helping Seniors car raffle ticket, you are free to bring 2, officially 10 and under, 2 kids with you to enjoy all the great things. So there's going to be fun inside and outside. You got to call us today to get your tickets, 321-473-7770, and we'll also fill in any gaps on any info you need, Chris's number or more. But be in it to win it, the Helping Seniors car raffle. That's the time we have for Helping Seniors Radio today. I want to thank you, Tom Muldoon with MSC Cruises, and Chris Morse with Helping Seniors Travel Club for sharing. And we want to see you. And like Chris, we always say, let's go cruising.